Ncuti Gatwa's costume as the Doctor has finally been revealed, and at long last, we now know what the 15th Doctor will be wearing when he materialises on our screens next year. But is it a good costume? Is it a bad costume? Is it somewhere in between? Well, in this video I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the costume just off the bat from what we've seen of it so far. Also, just incidentally, apologies for the lack of videos on here. Recently, I've been taken down with cold and flu and God knows what over the past few weeks, which has made making YouTube videos pretty much impossible. But yeah, with that out of the way, on to Ncuti's costume, which, pretty much came out of nowhere, really. I mean, a lot of people had been expecting to see it for a very long time. You know, some people speculated we might see it on the show's 59th anniversary, and that didn't happen. Some people were sort of speculating that we might see it sometime this month, you know, maybe Christmas Day or whatever, because Series 14 has now officially started filming. It started filming about a fortnight ago at the time I'm recording this video. So the costume has presumably existed and been locked in, you know, for quite a few weeks now, and they have been filming with it, but just not in public, you know, so we haven't actually seen it yet in public in location filming, but presumably they have been filming with it, you know, behind closed doors in the studio. But in terms of how I discovered the news myself, I saw a notification for the official Twitter account for the tweet that revealed this, but it didn't show the photo. It just said, introducing the Doctor and Ruby Sunday. And so I kind of thought to myself, you know, is this it? Is this the costume reveal? Because I couldn't see the images at this point. I then tapped on the notification, of course. I saw the images, and yes, it was the costume reveal. We've got these fantastic two new images. So one, you know, of Ncuti standing there with this magnificent sunset in the background. I think that's been pinpointed to like a parking lot somewhere down in Cardiff. So yeah, there's that one of him. And then there's one of him alongside Ruby Sunday, Melly Gibson, in her costume as well, which obviously isn't as exciting to talk about, but yeah, that's there as well, that exists. The two of them sort of stood there on some steps on a trailer or a truck or whatever. The team together looking very, very exciting, very, very dapper indeed. So in terms of my thoughts on this, my initial thoughts and then my thoughts since, because this has, you know, been around now for a couple of days, so I've had a bit of time to get used to it, I suppose. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It wasn't quite what I was expecting. I think, like a lot of people, I was expecting something a little bit more flamboyant, perhaps, but at the same time, I can see it working, definitely. You know, I definitely think it's something which it just kind of look like one of Ncuti's outfits. You know, he posts so many photos on Instagram and stuff of himself in different outfits, modelling stuff, and just his everyday attire, which is fantastic. You know, he wears lots of wacky fits, and this is no exception. You know, this is kind of, it just kind of feels like something that almost that he's pulled out of his own wardrobe, with a touch perhaps of a kind of more sort of I don't know, kind of an older, more sophisticated look, more old-fashioned, dare I say, with the kind of the browns, you know, the brogues, the kind of checkered patterned trousers and matching jacket as well. I think that's the part of the costume that's kind of surprised me the most. The kind of the choice to go with kind of brown tones there and not something more flashy, let's say. I suppose we're kind of used to seeing lots of kind of blues and greys and blacks on the Doctor, so this is a bit of a departure, kind of I suppose similar to David Tennant's trench coat from the 10th Doctor. But yeah, it does feel unusual, I think, for a Doctor outfit, but at the same time, quite reminiscent of other outfits in particular regards. So, you know, I think most prominently this does feel quite reminiscent of Christopher Eccleston and the 9th Doctor, and not so much in the exact colours and etc., but in the kind of the cut of the outfit, the overall silhouette of kind of having, you know, one colour for the jacket and the trousers and the shoes, and then another colour for the jumper or the top or whatever underneath the t-shirt. I think the jumper itself is perhaps the least surprising elements of the costume. You know, it's the most sort of colourful, the most sort of flashy, the most wacky. You know, that definitely feels like something that's been pulled out of, you know, that kind of long list of potential fan outfits that we've seen for Ncuti's Doctor. You know, colourful outfits and colourful colours and patterns and things. You know, that feels very much in keeping with that. And I suppose as well, you know, I mean, here we've kind of got the first look at the costume, the kind of the basis for the costume, with the jacket, you know, with the trousers, with this orange jumper. But I suppose as well that over time, maybe even within this first series for his Doctor, you know, we're going to be seeing other colours, other jumpers swapped in there. It's not just going to be the orange jumper. I would imagine, you know, similar to how we've seen with, you know, Christopher Eccleston, Jodie Whittaker, you know, other Doctors where they kind of keep the same coat, they kind of keep the same trousers, whatever, but they do swap out other coloured jumpers or t-shirts just to shake things up a bit. You know, I suppose the orange, you know, it kind of fits that colour palette of like oranges and browns and stuff. So I suppose this will always be the definitive look for his Doctor. But at the same time, you know, if they're going to shake anything up, I see it being the jumper. I see them just kind of swapping in other jumpers over time, other colours, you know, maybe like, I don't know, maybe just any colour. Any colour would work with this outfit, I think, because of kind of the sort of the beigeness, the kind of the plainness of the rest of the outfit. I mean, I think that is the one thing that I would say, is that it does feel a little bit sparse, a little bit plain. You know, you've got the little flourishes there, the touches, like the necklaces. He's got on his fingers as well, like Gallifreyan rings, I believe, and like tattoos or sort of nail art or something like that, which I showed off in a video on the official social media channels. That's a very nice touch, all those little bits and pieces. But yeah, I think just kind of the overall silhouette, you know, it is kind of going very much more back to that sort of Christopher Eccleston Ninth Doctor silhouette, where it doesn't particularly draw attention to itself, you know, aside from the colour of the jumper. You know, you can see this outfit, this Doctor, I think, blending into the background a bit more, you know, drawing less attention to himself, perhaps. I can't help but feel sorry for Ncuti as well, shooting in December in freezing conditions in this outfit without like a scarf or a hat or something to keep him a little bit warmer. Yeah, that would have been nice to see, I think, but I don't know. I mean, I guess his first episode is going to be a Christmas special, right? So it would have made sense to give him like a scarf or something. You know, it would have made sense for the Doctor to be keeping warm in that particular episode. But at the same time, I guess they kind of got to set the precedent for the series that follows, and they've got to kind of set the precedent of the outfit, you know, without any of the additional flourishes or accessories or bits and pieces that may come later on. So I can see why they've kind of stuck to the silhouette for now, for the time being. I think my sort of closing thought would be that yes, you know, it kind of is very stylish in its own way. It's fashionable, you know, like I say, it's something that, you know, you can kind of imagine not only the Doctor wearing, but, you know, Ncuti Gatwa or like a model or whatever. And yeah, I think it is kind of fashionable in that sense, in the sense that, you know, you can imagine sort of seeing a model wearing this like in a clothes shop, just on the high street or online or on social media or whatever. It almost kind of doesn't feel particularly doctory, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, you know, like Chris Eccleston's outfit from back in the day, I think they are kind of going for that kind of more stripped back approach, I guess. More sort of, yeah, stripped back, fashionable, kind of classy, I guess. Yeah, it's a really interesting one. You know, it's different to Jodie's outfit, obviously. It's different, you know, to Peter Capaldi's outfit. It's pretty different to David Tennant's outfit as the 14th Doctor as well. Although the kind of the tartan patterned bits and pieces is a recurring feature throughout a lot of the Scottish Doctors. You know, we saw that with Sylvester McCoy. We saw that with Peter Capaldi's checked trousers and from Series 9 onwards. And then with David Tennant's kind of suit that he's been wearing as the 14th Doctor. So it's nice to see that thread has continued through. It's also kind of reminiscent of like Sherlock Holmes, a deerstalker sort of thing. I've seen people say that as well. So, you know, basically I am kind of maybe a little bit undecided on the outfit, you know, but I that's not unusual, to be honest. You know, I remember kind of seeing Jodie's outfit for the first time and yeah, just kind of thinking like, what's that? And now I think, you know, it's quite an iconic outfit. It's one like I quite like. You know, Peter Capaldi as well. I remember when that was announced. That was a little bit different because I was like 13 back then. I think if that had been announced, you know, nowadays, I would have been a little bit more fond of the outfit, you know, from the off. And then Matt Smith and David Tennant, obviously, stretching further back into my childhood. I can't really remember particularly what I thought of those outfits when I saw them for the first time. But certainly with Ncuti here, with the 15th Doctor, it is different to what I was expecting it to be, if that counts for anything. You know, it probably doesn't really, let's face it. Yeah, I think it would just take some time to get used to, which, like I say, isn't unusual. You know, this happens every time we have a new Doctor and a new costume or whatever. Yeah, I think it will work. I don't have any particular sort of severe doubts or criticisms of the outfit. But yeah, it's an interesting choice, you know, that's what I would say. It's an interesting choice, and I do look forward to seeing how it evolves and changes throughout the series. I think that would be my one kind of hope, really, that, you know, the colour of the jumper changes, or just little accessories, maybe, little scarf or something here and there, and every now and then, you know, just to kind of shake things up a bit. But I do think the kind of the overall kind of colour palette of browns, oranges, you know, that kind of thing, the jacket, the trousers, the brogues, I think that will remain in place. I can't really see them tampering with that. You know, I think that will kind of be the overall silhouette of this Doctor, and yeah, it's going to take some getting used to, but it's here to stay. That is the outfit. Those are my thoughts on the 15th Doctor's outfit. I don't have much voice left, so I'm not going to go on for too much longer, but yeah, what do you think of the outfit? Are you kind of, you know, do you like it? Do you dislike it? Have you warmed to it since it was announced, or just the opposite, or whatever? Let me know, you know, your thoughts and opinions and everything down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what people think of Ncuti's outfit, and what kind of the gut reaction is from fans, the sort of general consensus, particularly among my subscribers, I guess. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you haven't already, and please do check out my Patreon page if that is something which you are interested in supporting. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.